I buy faulty electronic items from eBay, attempt to fix them and sell them on for a profit. Welcome your faces back to episode number 70 of the series, Profit or Loss. We have been down in the dumps. Last episode bit me hard, leaving us with a total profit of £53.10. Yes, that is over the course of 70 episodes. Today, we're going to make a profit, I believe, as well as the fact that today's episode of Profit or Loss has been sponsored by the lovely people at iFixit. Should we take a look at the item we've got today? I paid a grand total of £170 for this PlayStation 5. It is in fact a disc edition console, and condition wise it's not bad. We have a few scuff marks, as you can see, especially on the front chassis as well, where somebody has repeatedly tried to put in the cables as usual, but not horrendous condition. Like this side, really clean. Looking at all the ports on the back, doesn't seem to be any issues. Now I found this one quite interesting, and let me show you why. On the listing itself on eBay, it states powers on for a second to a blue light, then powers back off. Warranty sticker is wonky, so suspect it's been opened before. However, when I was looking at the pictures on the eBay listing, that warranty sticker to me doesn't look like it's been opened. It may have a few like slight markings on it, and that's why the seller put that it has been opened before, but that's why I had to snap this one up, because I've paid £170. I don't think it's been opened before. So without further ado, plugging in our power to the console, what actually happens? Put it on the side. Yeah, that warranty still is 100% intact. Let's go. I've previously made very bold claims by saying that when I buy a console that has a warranty sticker, the chance of fixing it, the probability is around about 80% or so. Am I going to prove myself right or completely wrong in this video? Let's try and power it up. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so it beeps. We get fan spin. Okay. Well, it's on. So this is a long blue light of death. Does it go to a white light? What I can see, okay, so it's blue light and it's just shut off. So it didn't actually go to a white light. I'm going to push the power button again. So we get a beep. And if I push it again, it's going to try and turn on. I'm not seeing this go to a white light. It's just pulsing blue. Fan is spinning. That's something that's quite worrying, if I'm honest. Now again, doesn't go to a white light, just immediately shuts off. Okay. This one is quite a long pulsing blue light of death. I recently tried to fix a PlayStation 5 that had similar symptoms, but would go to a white light and then cut off straight away. And I put that down to APU. So I really hope that this isn't APU related. And just to confirm, as we can see here, yeah, that warranty sticker is fresh. Now it did look like there was quite a lot of dust in that fan, but I don't think the console would be overheating that quickly. So I don't think it's an overheating thing. So let's get this stripped down and see if we can fix it. Before we do that, let me tell you how you can make some incredible savings with iFixit. From the 10th to the 31st of May, iFixit have 20% off selected toolkits. Yep, that's automatically applied when you go to checkout. No code is needed to qualify for 20% off. My personal favorite is the Protect Toolkit. It includes everything you need to repair all sorts of devices. If, however, you're looking to dip your toe in and get started with repair, you can get 20% off the Essential Electronics Toolkit, the perfect item for beginners or even a seasoned pro looking to upgrade their kit. If you don't fancy getting your hands on a toolkit, or you might already have one, check out the rest of the store on iFixit's website and use my code at checkout in the description for 10% off your order. That 10% doesn't stack with the 20% off, so you can either get 20% off toolkits or use my code to get 10% off anything else in the store. Again, my personal code will be limited, so make sure you grab a deal quick. Let me know in the comment section down below if you purchased anything. Thank you again, iFixit, for sponsoring this video. Now back to the repair. Is there a world in which we get an SSD? No, there isn't. GG! This fan grill cover looks bent, so I wonder if somebody has actually just taken like the fan out. Yeah, that screw was loose, 100%. Yeah, look at that. Woof. That's seen better days. It's not meant to look like that. Now that is quite a dusty fan. It's always got that thick tar dust in here. Down here that you can see. Let's pray that it's just not cooked anything. I tell you now, this is probably going to be a 010 just because of the colour of the PCB that we have here. It's a darker green. What's that? I don't know what that is. Some sort of corrosion mess going on here. That's not ideal. I could try and diagnose this with UART pretty much straight off the bat up here, but regardless, this console is definitely going to need a clean of some sort. So I need to take it apart anyway. And if it's a 010, I'd also like to check the state of the liquid metal. No big liquid damage or anything like that, which is obviously good to see, or not see, should I say. Can't see any obvious issues here. Right, do we have our 12 volts? I'm going to go ahead and assume we do, because the console is initiating, it's trying to turn on. Yeah, we got our 12. Do we have our 5? Yeah, we have our 5. Do we have our 3.3? Yes, we have our 3.3. So everything is there. What about when we go down here to turn the console on? Do we get around about 2.5 volts? Yeah, we get our 2.5 volts there. Okay. And what do we get on our RAM? 1.3. Okay, and it just shuts off. I will now be conducting UART. I can't see the other side of the board yet, but at the same time, it hasn't been opened before. So the chances of liquid metal spilling, for example, would be quite slim. So I've just completed UART. As you can see, it's plugged in. And no matter how many times I go to reset it, this is the only error code I get, no matter how many beeps. 80802220, and it's known unknown, power or short. So it just says that there's a short on the board essentially somewhere. So what I now have to do is take the board out of the chassis and basically do some diagnosing and see if I can find anywhere on the board a shorted component. I'll start by looking around some of the common places, one of which is the back of the Wi-Fi IC. Meter is in continuity mode. I've put the black probe on ground. So we're looking for that shorted component to ground if possible. Anything around the Wi-Fi IC? Nada. Wi-Fi IC seems to be absolutely fine. It's not going to be as easy as that, hey? All right, let's head on over to our fuses. So we've got F7003 right here. Continuous path. No. Yes. Yeah, it is. Okay, all right. Nearly had me. We don't have a short here, do we? No. I'm just going to check around this IC. Can be a common point of failure. 174 ohms here. Hold on. That's very low. 190 ohms. Ah, we have a short here. Okay. Oh no, wait. That might just be ground. Let me check a few more places. Again, very, very low reading, 250 ohms. This is the Southbridge IC, by the way. So again, 80 ohms there. So what that tells me, if I turn this around and go straight to the Southbridge, and I'm going to look on, there is a specific line here, which is this one. What do we get? 800 ohms. What about here? What do we get? That's ground, I think. This side, 700 ohms. This side here. Yeah, 700 ohms. That's relatively low. It shouldn't be that low, as far as I'm aware anyway. Let's see if I can find any other shorts on the back of the Southbridge. Those readings are just very, very low. Let me check around here as well. Turn it the right way so I don't get confused. Again, here, just ridiculously low. Look at that, 300 ohms. 300 ohms. 75, 80 ohms there. What about around? This chip is for SSD controller, I'm sure. So, okay, hold on then. So I get 25 ohms here. Usually, this area is meant to be around about 50 ohms. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay. So it's fine now. So it's climbed. All right. Again, 345. These are all readings that aren't, they're not meant to be like that. 350. What about the back of the SSD controller? What do we have here? 450. 71. 71, 345 there. It just seems ridiculously low. I'm just gonna have a quick check on the board to see if there's issues anywhere else. But my suspicion at the moment is Southbridge. Yeah, look, that's 50 ohms as well. Again, just ridiculously low. Yeah, this reading here. So again, back of the Southbridge, 745. But I also know that part of the Southbridge goes to the HDMI circuit. So what reading do we get here? Yeah, that's okay. These readings are all actually okay, believe it or not. 480. This chip haunts me. Y09. Again, these caps here next to the Southbridge. Well, we get a reading of 742 ohms on both sides. It just seems ridiculously low to me. It's screaming Southbridge. For example, this is a donor board, so this is a working 010 that I have. And if I measure here, what do we get? Oh, we get 860. 860. And what about here? 870. Again, working board, just on the back. Yeah, look, 880. What do we have here? 880. Okay, so it's around about 100 ohms more, isn't it? This is the board that we're working on that's faulty. Ah, it's 900 ohms. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Okay, that's 700 though. There's our 700, our 740. Let's just compare our readings around this chip, the RT5126. Again, for confirmation, this is the board we are currently working on. What do we have here? 860. Where was there a really low one? 740. Okay, yeah, this one was 50 ohms. Climbing, to be honest, 100. Whereas what do we have here? Again, back over to the working board. Yeah, look, there's not even a reading popping up here. What about here? Same here. Okay, and this links directly with the Southbridge. So I'm gonna make an educated guess and say Southbridge. I don't think it's BIOS because I don't think the BIOS would give us the incorrect readings. You know, I think the readings would actually pair the same if it was something to do with the BIOS IC. That's what's making me lean a bit more towards the Southbridge. I've checked other places on the board. I've just had quick measurements elsewhere, and I can't see anything else that's faulty. And we have this generic sort of error code with UART, so perhaps it's trying to write a code to the Southbridge, but because the Southbridge isn't working, it's maybe not reading it correct or something like that. Nonetheless, nonetheless, I can't actually find any other shorts on the board. I can just find a slight different readings on a working Southbridge to this board that I'm currently working on, a non-working one. So I think I have to make, again, an educated guess here and replace the Southbridge. I have been looking for my stencil for the Southbridge for such a long time, and I've just ordered 2 brand new ones just to make sure I don't lose any in the future. And I thought I'm just going to have to reball these manually because I don't have any Southbridges I can straight swap. And I turned this over and my stencil was like this on the back. Okay, so let's warm this Southbridge up. I'm just giving it 400 degrees for a couple of seconds just to make sure it's not ice cold when we go to solder. Come in with some flux here just on the IC. I'm just going to bring on some leaded solder. This is a donor Southbridge. I have no idea how old it is. So I'm just reballing this now. Clearing the oxidization on these pads. Hopefully it's going to be okay. If, of course, the Southbridge is our issue on this board. Because it has every possibility that it might not be. Come in with our wick now. Clean up this Southbridge. Looking good. There we go. Cotton swab. And clean up. This one looks in relatively good condition. Minor scratches over on the left hand side just over here. But other than that, I think we look okay. Come in now with a little bit of flux just on the IC. Make sure that when we put those balls on, they actually stick to it. Not too much though. There we go. Stencil over the top. There it is. I'm going to go 0.45 millimeter balls here. It should be okay. And then I just like to move it around. Give it a quick shimmy shimmy. All should fall into place. There we go. Couple to sort. One here that just needs to move along. There we go. And one here as well. I see you. Okay. Now I should be able to lift this up, hopefully. And majority of the balls stay on the IC. Let's try this. Is that another? All of them? It is. Look at that. Oh, it's all of them have stayed on. Yeah, jubbly. Look. Okay, interesting. I think I've found my technique. Now we're going to go 390 degrees Celsius. Airflow speed is in fact 1% here. I don't like how close that ball is getting. Get off. I can, however, also see that this one is trying to escape. Two have formed up there. Well, there's about 4 balls that have congealed up there. Do you know what? I actually think it's just one. Yeah, it's one on the corner. Right, let's try again. Just up here. It's top right. There we go, it's better. Sort them all out. There we go. Nice clean now. Toothbrush and IPA. And that is a Southbridge ready to go onto the board. Okay, so temperature is 480 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 99% just to get this Southbridge off the board. I'm just going to heat around the area first of all to try and get the board up to a certain degree of heat where it's going to be easier to take the Southbridge off the board. Now we focus our heat and apply some flux. Okay, Southbridge is loose. Come in and lift that away. Going to try and act as quick as possible here if we can. Plenty of flux. Come in now with leaded solder on our soldering iron. Soldering iron specifically is 420 degrees Celsius. Now we come in with our wick. Same rule as always, we're going to glide our wick and soldering iron. Whilst the board is hot, use our cotton swab to get any of that flux if we can, making our lives easier to clean. Actually going to come back in with some more hot air here because even in that split second the flux has got a little bit sticky. There we go. We've got a few pads up here that haven't been wicked properly, so we'll go over those. The rest of them do indeed look okay. Maybe I can see one just about here as well. Putting a little bit more heat back into the board. We'll actually do just up here and also here to here. There we go. All nice and clean, ready for this new Southbridge. I'm not going to wait too long here. I'm literally just going to put the new Southbridge straight on. Whilst we've got, again, that board, that heat in the board. Board in the heat. Tiny bit of flux. Spread it around. Southbridge goes on. Pin 1 is down here. So we have pin 1 on the board as well. On the IC. Good. That feels like it's in position. Tweezers. Off. Off. Looks good. 460 degrees Celsius this time with an airflow speed of 70%. We're just circling around the Southbridge, waiting for the solder on the IC to bond with the pads that we have on the board. There we go. I've just seen it shift. So now I've seen it shift, I'm going to come off the heat. And now we put more flux on and reflow. Coming with a little tap on the side. Yeah, we are all good. Final bit of heat and off the board. Now we need to make sure we flush this out correctly. What do I mean when I say flush it out? Isopropyl alcohol when the board is a little bit cooler, just to get rid of all of that flux underneath the Southbridge, because it can cause issues when you go to boot the console. All right, this is how we're looking around that Southbridge area now after a good clean. How's underneath the IC looking? That's the most important part here. Still a little bit fluxy on this side, just over here. So I need to clean that out. There we go. That looks better. Right, let's give this a test. Okay, now I could just obviously test around the actual IC itself to see if our issue has been resolved, but this way is definitely more fun. So, 3, 2, 1. All right, it still turns on. That's good news. I haven't massively messed anything up. Happy days. Does it stay on is the question. And does it go to a white light if it does stay on? Is it looking pretty good? Okay. I had to speak. Same symptoms. Turns on, blue light, pulses for 10 seconds or so, and then nothing. Let's check UART. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Cleared the error logs and press the button about 4 or 5 times, and I get 5 of these errors, and then after that, it's just Fs. So still, again, known unknown. I'm going to try a different power supply, because even though we're getting the 12 volts, it might be a case that when the machine starts to actually demand a little bit more, that's when it's falling over. So let me change out the power supply. All right, known working power supply is now in. It can't be as simple as that, can it? Have I just replaced the Southbridge for no reason? 3, 2, 1. Okay, around about 10 seconds or so. Is it going to stay on? Okay, it turns off. All right, so the power supply, I know the power supply is good. It just means that the issue we're having now is, you know, a little bit more of a wider issue. UART isn't telling us anything at all, and I can't find any shorts on the board. My brain takes me to either SSD controller IC or the Wi-Fi IC, both of which could be entirely wrong. Let's check the old thermal cam. Okay, here we go. Turn it on. Nope, that was just beep off. Turn it on now. All right. SSD controller IC getting hot. RAM getting relatively warm. RAM controller IC getting warm. This chip getting warm. RAM is hottest on the board at the moment with 37 degrees. Nothing to be massively concerned about, I guess. And then it turns off. Something getting quite hot here, I guess, according to the heat signature. Around about here is where it was getting hot, because it was down here. So interesting. What about around here then? So I've just also injected 12 volts onto the board, and the boot goes up to around about 305 milliamp. It doesn't necessarily go all the way up to the 315, 320 mark that it's meant to. And I've checked both sides of the board when I'm getting that initial boot, and nothing is really getting hot. The Southbridge and the SSD controller IC are both getting warm, but that's their job. They're meant to. Further diagnostics to be done. I just thought I'd quickly check the APU, and doesn't look like I can see any signs of... Is that a that's not a crack, is it? Is that a crack? Oh, do you know what? That looks like a crack. I was just in the middle of saying I can't see any cracks. No! So that's one corner, it looks okay. That's the other corner, looks okay. And then we've got this corner, which also looks okay. And then we have this corner. No! I don't believe it. Look. It's a big crack. Oh, that really sucks, if I'm honest. Really, really, really sucks. I think chances of that are quite slim, you know. One that's not been open with a warranty sticker, and yeah, we got that crack. Look at that. Jeez Louise. All right, that is not the ideal situation. Everything else on the board, including that Southbridge then, was absolutely fine. It was just a crack on the APU. That is a bad move on my behalf. I maybe should have checked the APU before I checked anything else. I'm pretty sure I even said at the start of the video, the other one that I had, where the fan spin and a blue light, was APU. Should have checked that first. A little bit of time wasted there. I'm just going to have to resell this one on eBay. I don't need the parts, if I'm honest. So again, hopefully I can recoup a little bit of that money, but I am gutted, to say the least, about this one. Shall we move on to our next item? I think so. And I really hope that I can fix this one and make a little bit of money. I need to. If I can't fix this, then I am in trouble. I paid another £170 for a faulty PlayStation 5. The question is, will I ever learn? Now, to say I'm a little bit hesitant about this one is a bit of an understatement. It only has one picture on the listing, as well as the fact it says this Sony PS5 blah 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 available for purchase, comes with HDMI connection, and it doesn't say anything down here about the actual fault. It just says it's being sold for parts. The fault itself is in the title. Console only, HDMI faulty. Now, is the HDMI faulty? Who knows? Does it have a warranty sticker? Who knows? We're about to find out. I really need a win on this one because these have been devastating recently. Here we go. Is the warranty sticker intact? No, it's not. All right. Lord above. This could get really bad. Let's give it some power. First of all, actually, how is the HDMI port looking? Yeah, fine. That doesn't look bad at all. No cross pins, nothing like that. So how have they determined that this is a HDMI fault? I have no idea. Plugged in the power. 3, 2, 1. I need to make sure this goes to a white light. We get fan spin. Wicked. This needs to go to a white light right here. If it doesn't, I may actually cry. Okay, good. White light. I am going to test the HDMI. You won't be able to see because I'm testing it on a monitor. Otherwise, I'll have to disable HDCP and I can't do that when I can't see anything. Okay, I can confirm. No display. No signal. Get it open and see what the situation is. Clearly, it's been worked on before, so are we going to see an absolute madness on the HDMI port? Okay, so far so good. All the screws and everything along those lines seem to be okay. The cables look like they've been put back good as well. This definitely hasn't even been taken off because this foam here hasn't been ripped. So maybe it's not been gone into before. I don't think it has because even these bits of tape here haven't been lifted up. So even though the warranty sticker wasn't intact, I feel like maybe they took it off, went to go inside it and then decided not to. So we're just gonna have a case of a bad factory Sony port. I really, really hope so. Does indeed look like it's a factory port. Moment of truth, do I get the same issues that I used to get all the time when people used to walk into the repair shop and say that it just stopped working? Let's have a look. So these are indeed factory ports. Go ahead and just move this little pin. That's okay. This one. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. 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 Well, all right. Yeah, I mean, that seems, all those legs seem fine. What about inside the actual port itself? It's clean as our whistle. Underneath, yeah, clean. One of those days, is it? I'll check the port in a sec, but I did just want to quickly see what we get here in diode mode. 0.17, as far as I'm aware, that's normal. 0.17, normal. Around here. 17. 17, okay. Continuity mode on the filters, just to make sure. Yeah, all good. All good, okay, filter's okay. Diode readings on the actual port itself then. Pin 19. 0.53, 0.49, ground, 0.63, 63, ground, 64. These are the data ones now. 0.78, 0.78, 0.78, 0.78, 78, 78, pretty much 78, pretty much 78. What? Back of the circuit here, what do we get on this diode? 0.49, I'm sure that's okay. Just measure it this way. Here, 0.49. Measure it the other way as well. Yeah, open line, so that's fine. What about this component here, the JL connector? What do we get here? 0.49. And here, this is our 5 volt. 0.3, 0.32. These diodes can sometimes go bad. 0.53, 54, 55. Oh, 0.6. 0.63, took a while to get there. Like this one, 0.63. What reading do we get here, which is behind the HDMI IC? 0.35, that seems to be okay. I mean, everything's actually looking okay on this, if I'm honest, which is not good. What about this diode here? Just to double check. Yes, open line, which is good. And then if I measure here, 6.4, seems about right. I've just actually used my USB-C to HDMI tester to check a working board versus the one that I'm currently working on. Editing Joey is going to try and do this smart, but here is a picture of a working board, and I know this one works for a fact. And this one over here is the one that we're currently working on. They're identical. They're exactly the same. I tried it a couple times and wiggled it around just to make sure, but identical. That proves that our fault is somewhere else on the board. Here we go again. All right, little updates. So with the console in standby mode, if I measure here, I get 5 volts. This is around this area, which is the back of the HDMI IC. Then down here, we have the 3.3, again in standby, which is good. And after we apply power to the console, we should have this side of the JL connector. We should have 5 volts, right? It's on 3.2 as we speak, so it's 3.2 volts. If I go to power it on, this should jump up to 5, which it does. So I've got voltage there after the JL connector. Also, down here on this IC, I get 1.8 volts, which I'm meant to have. So I'm meant to have 1.8 here and 5.5 here on this side. 5 on this side and then 3.3 on this side, which is all good. I have that. Prodding on some random places behind the HDMI IC. As you can see, I get 0.8 volts there and amongst some other places. It all seems to be okay. I also have put the console into safe mode to see if I get a display, which I don't. What is weird though, when I get a console that doesn't display, I'll put it onto my HDMI 1 input source on my monitor, and I'll have to cycle that twice to actually get a display. It's really weird. It annoys me. What's happening with this one is I cycle it twice, and it actually just hangs on a black screen for the HDMI 1 input until I turn the console off. And it says on the screen, it pops up and says, no input. I've never had that before. It's never said that to me. So whatever's going on with this console, I've not had before. Now, the HDMI port checks out with all of those readings. It's absolutely fine. It'll be silly of me to change it, I think, in all honesty. So I'm completely and utterly stuck. Before I go a bit insane, I am just going to quickly clean up the liquid metal that we have around the APU, just to make sure how the four corners looking. Good, 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 good. Good, just to make sure. Yeah, that looks okay. I have had one PS5 in particular previous that wouldn't display an image and I wasn't able to fix, so I'm hoping I can sort this out, because otherwise I suck if not. Right, so I have two caps here which feed into the HDMI retimer. They come straight from the APU, so I get a reading of 0.42 here, and if I go down here, another reading of 0.42. I've checked these already. So if I go the other side of the cap, I get 0.41 essentially, and the same for the bottom cap. So that's just kind of ruling out the APU, I think, for the time being anyway. And I've done multiple checks around the HDMI retimer IC, including our Y09 OG chip. And again, all the readings around here seem to be A-OK. If I put the meter into DC voltage mode and actually just give it standby voltage, 12 volts, we'll be able to see, if I go onto this path here, you'll see on the screen, we get 1.8 volts, which is perfectly normal feeding into the IC. And then on the out, it should be like 0.9, I think. There we go. Yeah, 0.9. So this chip seems to be okay. I have bad memories of this chip. We have 3.3 volts down here, and I believe this is ground. Yeah, that's ground. On this IC up here, on this cap, we get 2 volts, which is what we're meant to get, 2 volts. And it's the same story pretty much everywhere. Like, I have voltage where I need to have voltage, essentially. It's baffling me. I get, again, 0.9 volts down here on this side of that cap. These, I believe, don't actually get any voltage until you power the console on, as far as I'm aware. So this is a donor board I know works. I'm injecting voltage, standby voltage, and yeah, on these caps, I get nothing. So that is perfectly normal, apparently. And we get... Oh, wait a minute, we get 1.8 on this one. Okay, let me check the other one. So this is, again, the donor board. So you get 1.8 here. What's that, third cap down? Yep, third cap down, we get 1.8. Yes, we do, 1.8. So I don't want to change out this chip because everything I'm getting seems to be all right. What do I get here? I get 3.26 this side, 3.3. So 3.3 that side. Part of me is just like, just change out the HDMI port, Joey. The other part of me is like, no, because it doesn't make sense. Yeah, this is exactly the same, 0.327, and then this side should be 0.326. I cannot for the life of me find anything wrong with the circuit. All diodes check out, all the resistors, everything seems absolutely fine. This circuit on the back, no issues at all. All the diodes, again, checked. I feel like my only option is to change out the port. Like, what have I got to lose? Other than going crazy, what have I got to lose right now? I'm just going to have to change out the port, even though I get all the correct readings. Okay, I have tinned a HDMI port. All right, so that is ready to go. If it is something like the HDMI port, and I've spent all that time waffling, you guys best know you're coming with me, all right, on this journey. 470 degrees Celsius airflow speed is, in fact, a nice, juicy 99%. This port will fall straight out. There we go. Did I have any bridges that I wasn't aware of underneath? Doesn't look like it. Whilst we have the board here, we're going to come back in with the hot air and just clear out the ground holes with a solder sucker. Oh, we got 2 in 1. Careful this side because we've got the diode. Just want to make sure this one's clear. I can see a little bit of solder just at the top there. There we go. Try and move while the board is hot. Come in with our flux here. Just put it down over these pins, pads. Come in with our braid. And just clean up the leaded that we have on the board. Again, the board is hot, so we're not going to struggle here. There we go. Don't have to. This is OCD levels of Joey, though, is get rid of that factory flux. I don't like it. Come back in now with our flux. Tin everything. Now, what I don't like is the flux going on the copper. I know it sounds stupid. People will be like, Joey, what are you talking about? Turns it a funny colour. There we go. Should be plenty. Tiny bit more flux to actually see what I'm doing. There we go. Nice, clean. Bit of IPA on the situation. That is a nice prepped looking board ready to accept its new friend, the port. Just putting a little bit of flux, not too much because again I don't like to drown the board in flux when we're putting a port on, so it can get ugly. That is just enough. Same temperature, same speed, 480 degrees Celsius, 99% airflow. This will happen very quickly. You can see the solder starting to wet. There we go. Need to make sure those pads are wet as well, which I believe they are. Drop the port on. Move the heat back and forth. Well, side to side technically. We're going to push the port around. Get nice and comfy. Make sure it bonds well with the pads. That's looking good to me. Alright, I'm not going to push down here either. I'm just simply going to wait to see that solder come through those legs onto the port. Make sure they bond properly. Which over on the left side I'm pretty sure they have. Just waiting on a little bit on that right side. Sometimes it doesn't come through, so we can drop a little bit of solder just here. Sort that port out again. There we go. We're going to have to move quick here if we need to sort out any of the pins, but we will see in a second. That is solidified now, as we can see. Yeah, lovely. I don't need to touch any of those. What I'm going to do, though, is clean up, because whilst the board is hot, that's the best time to clean up flux. We can just sort the back out. No, to be honest with you, I'm actually happy with that. I'm going to leave that back. It's not very often I leave it, but I'm not going to touch that one. That looks fine. Okay, how do these look after a clean? Lovely. Every single one looks wicked. Really, really strong. Let's just, for the sake of it, give them a nudge test, because sometimes looks can be deceiving. If I can get my tweezers in. Good, 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 good. All look absolutely fine. Okay, if this works, I'll be flabbergasted. So wish me luck. Okay, all plugged in. White light. HDMI lead is in. I'm changing it over now. You're not going to be able to see. And I have to do it twice. So this is the first time. And it's just going to go back to a normal, my PC screen. So it's not going to work. I'm not expecting it to work now. Now it should work. I click on HDMI 1 and the survey says it's not going to work. Of course, it doesn't work. Okay. Interesting. I don't know what's next. I've checked everything and nothing really makes sense at the moment. Everything is measuring as it should. I've checked in depth the whole HDMI circuit and there's no issues. So again, off a whim. This is no logic applied. This is just replacing the HDMI retimer. So we get 460 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 50% here. This can be a little bit of a pain to get off the board. There's that one off, and then we're just going to bring this one straight on, put it around about there, lower the airflow here to about 40%, come in with some flux. I'm not swapping out the solder, we don't need to, the board will be hot enough, and we should just see this do its work. It'll be a magic. Give it a nice clean and inspect to make sure that the job is alright. If not, we'll just have to go around. IPA, toothbrush. Okay, how are the connections? Not massively happy with them. Could be better. Is that better? Yeah, it looks a lot better. For the sake of science, I'm just going to go over these pads, because this is the only side that I'm a little bit worried about. And it's not playing ball. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Check this side as well. Yeah, looks good. All connected. This side all connected. Yep. And this side all connected. Yep. Okay. Another moment of truth. Let's find out. Okay. Power on. Good. Doesn't power off, hopefully, which I would then assume that the HDMI chip is soldered on okay. You do go to a white light. That's a good sign. Now, let's check. HDMI 1. Again, not going to work this time round. I know it won't, but will it work the second? Right, I'm changing it to the second one now. Ah! Oh, it works. I can't believe it. Right, I'm turning it off and I'm going to take a look. I'm so happy. I'm going to show you guys in a second, but I think now would be a great time to mention that iFixit, the sponsor of today's video, have kindly agreed that we can do a giveaway on our Discord channel. It will be worth up to £50 of a starter kit. It's completely free to enter. iFixit don't want any engagement or anything like that. I just asked if we could do it and they said, yeah, go for it. All you do is join the Discord, go to the giveaway bit and press participate. I then give your details to iFixit and they sort it out. It's worldwide. So make sure you join the Discord using the link down below. And here we have it. I can't believe it. I'm so happy. That was such a shot in the dark to replace the retimer. I can also confirm that 4K is okay. And if I just give the cable a wiggle, yeah, it's absolutely fine. No cutting out or anything like that. Perfect. Also confirmed that the disk drive is working and all okay. Let's head on over to Sally's Spectacular Spreadsheet to see if we made a profit or a loss. Total cost is going to be £340. Parts was 50p for the port. Sale price, I think I'll get 160 for the faulty one and 250, I think, for the working. So 410 gives us a gross profit in today's episode of £32.60. Here we go over here, £32.60. Not a touch on this minus 163.50. That puts our total profit to £85.70. pence. Remember, be sure to get yourself some nice, sweet iFixit discount using the links down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll leave the last episode in this series up here. Have a great rest of your day, week/weekend, whatever it is for you, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.